Hey guys, welcome back to Retro Daisy. So in this video we're going to learn zoom in, zoom out, spin, and slide, which are some very basic transitions for Video Star. So to start, we're going to go to New, and then we're going to go to Multi-Layer. After this, we're going to go to Edit Keyframe, and then we're going to go all the way to the end, and then we're going to go back about 5 keyframes. Create a keyframe there of 100 in size, and then we're going to go all the way to the end, and we're going to zoom into 200. After this, I'm going to use my custom graph that I always use. You're welcome to use the preset code, or you can copy the graph, or you can create your own. Okay, now that we have the zoom, we're going to go in, and we're going to create a tracking blur, and then we're going to bring that down almost all the way so it's not super blurry, and then we're going to hit create. Okay, now we're going to go to our second clip. And we're going to add our second clip in here, and we're going to go to Edit Keyframe, and then we're going to go about 3/4 of the way in, change the size to 106, then we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to change that to 40. Now we're going to go to that final keyframe, and we're going to do our custom graph again, and then we're going to go out, and then we're going to add our mirror. You can pick whichever mirror you prefer, and then we're going to go, and we're going to add our tracking blur after that. So there's a little box on the right with 4 boxes inside above where it says 3D. We're just going to hit that, and then we're going to hit Add Master. Then we're going to hit 1. So we're going to go to the end, and we're going to zoom in to about 105, 106. It really depends, and that's just going to zoom in at the end, which makes it look a little smoother. And as you can see, it looks a lot smoother with continuing that zoom at the end. So after we like how that looks, we're just going to hit create. So as you can see, we now have a super smooth zoom in, but we want to make it even smoother. So we're going to go back to that first clip, and we're going to hit transform. After hitting transform, we want to find VS motion blur, and we're going to change that blur to 50, and then we're going to hit create. Now this may take a while depending on how long your clip is. So now as you can see, it looks a lot more smooth when it zooms in. So now we're just going to go to our second clip, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in, we're going to go to motion blur, but we're just going to take that blur down to around 30 instead of 50.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room.
And now as you can see, we have a super smooth zoom in.
I feel good. You look great.
Okay, now onto our zoom out, we're going to go to that first clip again, and we're going to go to multi-layer. And then we're going to add our clip here. We're going to go all the way to the end, and then we're going to go back 4 keyframes. We're just going to create a keyframe of 100 in size here, and then we're going to go all the way to the end. At the end, we want to zoom out to 50, and then we're going to do our custom graph again. Now we're going to back out, and we're going to add our mirror. And then we're going to add our tracking blur. After that, we're going to add another master layer again, and then we're going to hit 1. So we're going to go about 1/3 into this clip here, and we're going to create a keyframe of 100 in size. And then we want to go all the way to the end, and we want to zoom in about between 114 and 116. It really depends on the length of your clip. As you can see, I tweak it as I go along here. Now I'm going to go back into that first clip here, and after I zoomed in there, I'm just noticing how it's too far zoomed in at the end, so I'm just zooming out a little bit. So now that we've created that, it's just a lot smoother when it zooms in and then zooms out. Now we're going to go on to our second clip, and then we're going to go about 3/4 of the way in, and we're going to create a keyframe right here of 100, and then we're going to go to the beginning, and we're going to go to 200. After that, we're going to add our custom graph. And then we're going to go out, and as you can see, it zooms out here. And we're going to add our tracking blur. So we're going to go in, and we're going to create another master layer. We're going to hit 1. So we want to go 4 keyframes in at the beginning, and we're going to do the size to 100. And then we want to bring it all the way to the end, and we want to do 114. Now as you can see, it just makes the clip look a lot smoother when it zooms out. It'll do that little zoom out, and then it'll zoom in. So we're going to go into transform, and then we're going to add that VS motion blur again. We're going to make the settings 55 for the blur, and then we're going to hit create. Now we're going to go to our second clip, and we're going to hit transform, and we're going to bring the blur down to 30, and then we're going to hit create. And now as you can see, we have a smooth zoom out, which is actually super easy to do. For the spin, we're going to go to our first clip, and we're going to hit new and multi-layer, and then we're going to select our clip, edit keyframe, and we're going to go about 3/4 of the way in, and then we're going to make a keyframe right here of 0 for the spin, and then we're going to go to the end, and we're going to do a keyframe of 50 for the spin. And then we're going to go to custom, and we're going to do our custom graph. Now after that, we're going to back out and we're going to add our mirror. Now as you can see, we have a smooth spin here, but I like to make it even smoother. This part isn't necessary, I just prefer it. So we're going to go about halfway in, a little less than halfway, and we're going to create a new keyframe of 0 for the spin, and then we're going to go back to that 3/4 point. We're going to change that keyframe to either go one left or one right. So if your spin's going right, we want to do this one to the left. And then we're going to go back in, and we're going to go back to the start of those keyframes, and we're just going to zoom in a little bit. This is just so we don't see the mirrors as much. And then after that, we're going to add our tracking blur, bring it down a little bit, and we're going to hit create. And now we're going to go on to our second clip. Once we're into our second clip, we're going to go about 3/4 of the way in, and we're going to create a keyframe of 0 for the spin. And then we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to create a keyframe of 40 for this spin. Then we're going to do our custom graph. And we're going to add our mirror. Then we're going to add our tracking blur. And then we're going to hit create. Now as you can see, it's a smooth spin, but of course we want to make it smoother, so we're going to go to transform, and then we're going to go to the VS motion blur, and we're going to bring that blur down to 55, and then we're going to hit create. Now we're going to go to that second clip, and we're going to leave it at 55 so we can just hit create again. And now as you can see, we have a super smooth spin. Now for our final transition, this is probably my favorite one. We're going to do a slide. So once we go in, we're going to edit our keyframe. We're going to go about 3/4 of the way in. We're going to add a keyframe for the path, and then we're going to hit straight. After that, we're going to go to the end, and for this I want my clip to slide down, but you can do any way that you like. So for sliding down, I'm just going to drag that clip all the way up, and then I'm going to hit center horizontally. And then we're going to create our custom graph. And then after that, we're going to hit path, and then we're going to hit straight. Now as you can see, this clip slides down super smooth, but I just prefer to make it a little bit smoother. So I'm going to go to about the halfway point, and I'm going to create a new keyframe here for the path, and then I'm going to hit straight, and then I'm going to go back to that 3/4 keyframe, and I'm going to pull this picture down a little bit. We're going to hit center horizontally, and then we're going to go out, and we're going to add our mirror. After that, we're going to add our tracking blur. So this way it's going to bounce up a little bit before it goes down. Like I said, this isn't necessary. I just prefer how this looks, and it looks a lot smoother. And then we're going to hit create. Now onto our second clip. We want to get to about the 3/4 point, and we're going to add a keyframe here for the path, and we're going to hit straight. After that, we're going to add our custom graph, and then we want to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to pull this picture all the way down, and then I'm going to hit center horizontally. Now we want to go and we're going to add our mirror, and we're going to add our tracking blur to make it more smooth. Now after we adjust that, we're going to hit create, and then we're going to go to transform on our first clip, and we're going to add the VS motion blur, and we're going to change our blur settings to 40. After that, we're going to hit create, and then we're going to do the same thing to our next clip. And now as you can see, we have a super smooth slide, and that was our last transition. Thank you for watching! Subscribe for more video star tutorials.